On the news this morning, state government commissions Obuku Caves and Waterfalls new facelift. Ahead of 2019 elections, Anglican Primate Oko asked Nigerians to place the unity of the country topmost agenda. Federal government ASU continues negotiations to end 6-week strike today. On the foreign scene, Tunisia to receive over $800 million grant from Saudi Arabia. Good morning and welcome to the news. My name is Nonye Mokoye. Governor Willie Obiano has commended the traditional institution in the state for maintaining peaceful coexistence in their communities and entrenching culture and tradition of Ndibo. Governor Obiano said this while felicitating with the traditional ruler of Ukulu, Igwe Peter Oyanwa, during his first ofala at this palace. Government House correspondent Ejike Abana was there for the ABS. Details are hereby taken from our studios.
Governor Obiano tasked the traditional institution to continually uphold the rich cultural heritage of Ndibo, asked them, especially traditional rulers, to be mindful of the kind of people they give titles. He said that respect for the traditional institution has greatly improved and urged them to continue to support his administration.
Let our traditional institution be very well respected, and that's by your deep way. Look at that, and I encourage all the Igwes in Anambra to respect that.
Speaking, Igwe Oyanwa applauded the initiatives of the present government, which he said has engendered transformation in all sectors of the economy. He prayed for the governor and committed to rallying round him as the dividends of governance have reached Ukulu town under his watch, including the first and second phases of the Community Choose Your Project initiative. The State Traditional Rulers Council, led by its chairman, Igwe Alfred Achebe, were in their numbers to felicitate with one of their own.
The state government has commissioned the Obauku Caves and Waterfalls at Owerri-Zukala, Orumba South Council area. The Commissioner for Diaspora Affairs, Indigenous Artworks, Culture and Tourism, Mrs. Sally Mbanefo, performed the official commissioning of the tourist site alongside a 6-room apartment containing 4 toilets and 2 bars to serve as lodge near the site. A correspondent, Emmanuel Chibata, was there for ABS and our reports.
The event attracted the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, represented by Mr. Wale Ojolanre, Edo State Governor Mr. Godwin Obaseki, represented by the State's Arts and Culture Ambassador Mr. Kali Ozolwa, Ondo State Governor Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu, represented by Mr. Ayo Omotoso, Ogun State Governor Mr. Ibikunle Amosun, represented by Mrs. Omolola Adeyemi, and representative of Nigeria Tourism and Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Grace Oka, among others. 205 well-consolidated stairs that leads to the ground floor of the caves and waterfall, and handrails were also constructed. Commissioning the site on behalf of Governor Obiano, Mrs. Mbanefo stressed that the state government has upgraded 2 tourist sites in less than 1 year. She noted that the ultimate goal is for United Nations, Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organizations, UNESCO, to identify with the project and take it to the next level so as to create employment for the youths.
The significance of this is that we are showing everybody that Anambra is the best kept secret in the southeast. It's now time that we owned up to claim what we have and to invite others.
In a speech, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Diaspora, Mrs. Abike Dabiru Erewa, represented by Mr. Tobechukwu Obienu, who said that Anambra is one of the leading states in creating opportunities of interaction with the diaspora, said this is necessary in nation building and will reposition the economy, especially with the current efforts in economic recovery and growth drive. In a remark, the traditional ruler of the town, Igwe Thomas Ogbonnaya, expressed joy and appreciated the governor for improving the tourism potential of the state.
Like Obandiaka Kingdom is going to give to our amiable
On his part, the youth leader of the community, Mr. Hilary Okafor, who thanked the governor for his unrelented work in Obuku Cave, pleaded for more support to lift the cave to an enviable height through infrastructural development and construction of access road, which will create job opportunities, generate revenue to the government, and eschew youth restiveness. Presentation of gift to Governor Obiano for his exemplary leadership by the community and dance featured at the event. From Owole Zukala in Orumba South Council area, I am Emmanuel Shibata reporting for ABS News.
Youths have been charged to be actively involved in the affairs of the country by participating in the country's growing democratic experience. This charge formed major high points of speeches at the Anambra Young People's Summit held in Awka. Chidimma Ikanyongo was there and fired this report.
It attracted young politicians from different political parties, members of the academic community, and youth from different walks of life. Speaking during the summit, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Economic Planning, Budget and Development Partners, Mr. Obiora Obiabumo, said the youth must be flexible in their thinking, always be ready to lead, must constantly get involved in politics and be prepared for leadership, as the not too young to run bill is not meant for the next generation.
Doesn't necessarily mean getting involved at the top. You can get involved well at any stage. So it's with that, people will recognize you.
Lending his voice, the chairman of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, Jonapid, Anambra State Chapter, Comrade Ugochukwu Okeke, assured of youth's preparedness in the coming election, even as he enumerated some of the challenges of persons with disabilities in the coming election, to include the exclusion of Jonapid members, especially the hearing impaired.
With disability are very ready to participate in democracy and politics, but we have challenges. The challenges we have is inaccessibility of physical environment. Some of our members are being excluded.
Earlier in a welcome address, the state coordinator, Not Too Young to Run movement, Anambra State Chapter, Mr. Nonso Orakwe, appreciated the state government for including young minds of the state in decision-making and said that the main objective of the forum is to increase young people's interest to run for public offices, even as he made it known that the forum does not support political parties but can only give their vote to a candidate after much verification and findings of candidates with skills to represent the interests of young people.
To build a body of knowledge on youth candidacy in the states, to monitor trends of youth participation in politics.
Awards for youth support, activeness, and partnership was presented to the Commissioner for Economic Planning, Budget and Development Partners, Mr. Mark Okoye, who was represented by Mr. Obiora Obiabumo.
Here we are for the Not Too Young to Run movement of the Anambra State Chapter, and they have concluded that they will not support any party or any political party in this Anambra State, but they will have to look inwardly to see what the person or the candidate have done so far. In Awka, I am Chidimma Ikanyong reporting for ABS News.
Thank you so much, Chidimma. The Primate Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, says the corporate existence of Nigeria should be topmost in the mind of every true Nigerian as the nation sets for 2019 general elections. The Primate stated this during a pastoral visit to Cathedral Church of St. Michael, Omiku, Anam, Anambra West local government area. Staff reporter Blessing Ijidibia, who was at the Omiku, Anam, reports that the Primate appreciated the level of development at the missionary diocese of Mbamili. The report.
On the importance of unity in the country, said the forthcoming general election serve as a yardstick to measure the level of brotherhood in Nigeria. He called on the electorate and politicians alike to play the game in accordance to the rule. Most Reverend Oko, who called for peace, said no meaningful development can take place in an atmosphere of rancor and bitterness. On grassroots evangelism, the Primate emphasized that the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion embarked on creation of missionary dioceses to enhance grassroots evangelism as well as assist in developing the hinterland. He appreciated the zeal of the faithful in Mbamili diocese, calling on the ordained not to shun posting at rural areas, rather be the crusader of the word of God.
They should do everything possible to ensure that Nigeria remains. And whatever they are doing, they should ensure that they don't destroy Nigeria. because there is very high tension. It looks like a do or die type of affair.
On his part, the Bishop of Mbamili Diocese, Reverend Henry Okeke, who harped on the need for every child of God to embrace evangelism, said Mbamili Diocese will never be found wanting in spreading the gospel to all.
Is to celebrate God at work amongst rural people. That's the highest point of celebration. God can dwell with people in such a rural, if you like, obscure environment, and they are happy to see what is happening.
The pastoral visits of the primate attracted over 6 bishops and featured special recognition to the immediate past bishop on the Niger, Right Reverend Kesandi Okeke, for his vision in creating the diocese. From Umuikwu Anam, Blessed Ijedibia, ABS News.
And now to national news. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, will meet the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities today to conclude the negotiations on the suspension of the strike by ASU, which has entered the 6th week. ASU has claimed that the strike was informed by the poor funding of the nation's universities and staff remunerations that led to the union's ongoing strike, which began on November 5. The Director of Press at the Minister's Office, Samuel Olowekere, made this known in Abuja and said negotiation for solutions to the issues tabled by ASU was an ongoing issue. Olowekere, however, refused to give the details of the partial agreement said to have been reached by both parties in their last meeting. Last week, the federal government and ASU reached a partial agreement after the union leadership met the minister last Monday evening. Ngige said the meeting touched on some areas of misunderstanding in the implementation of the Memorandum of Action signed in 2017. Cash worth millions of naira have been disbursed to 33 community children's homes across the state by the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers, Ndionowu. Federal prisons in Oka, Newe, Agwata, and Onitsha were also among the beneficiaries. We have details of the report.
The event, which took place at the White Castle Hotels in Anambra local government area, its president, Chief Dr. Anthony Enukeme, said that the disbursement exercise is part of the social responsibility of the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers, aimed at giving succor to the less privileged, especially during the Christian festivals. Chief Enukeme called on affluent individuals to always remember the less privileged ones this Christmas in order to give them a sense of belonging. He charged representatives of the benefiting homes to ensure that the cash and other items given to them on behalf of their various homes were judiciously utilized. Chief Dr. Enukeme used the opportunity to call on the federal and state government to create independent ministry of social welfare to take care of the less privileged in the society for efficient service delivery. Contributing, the Secretary of the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers, Chief Joe Mwegu, charged those entrusted with the responsibilities of taking care of the destitute to always show them love. In an interview, the leader of the women's wing of the association, Iyom Mary Enukeme, who described Christmas as a period of showing true love, called on Nigerians to use the period in building bridges of love and good neighborliness.
Chineke nyere anyị o kwesịrị ka anyị na-enyekwalụ ndị onwe ha ka ọ ha aka so obi dị anyị mma ọ na-agụ anyị agụụ anyị na-ejikwa obi aṅụrị were asọpọtụ ndị di anyị ka ha nwee ike na-enyere ndị ụwa na-atụ n'ọrụ.
In their various interviews, some representatives of the benefiting homes, including Mrs. Chinyere Oborekwe, a welfare officer in charge of Onitsha South local government area, and Mrs. Bridget Ajela of Red Cross Motherless Babies Home, Onitsha, thanked the State Council of Traditional Prime Ministers for their benevolence, assuring to use the items for the purpose it was meant for.
I appreciate the efforts, what they do. I say kudos to them.
The 33 benefiting homes also received 2 gallons of 10 liters of liquid soap each.
Saudi Arabia has pledged financial aid to Tunisia worth about $830 million. Tunisian Prime Minister Youssef Chahed made the comment to reporters after a visit to Saudi Arabia. The Prime Minister said that $500 million was expected to finance the budget, $230 million to finance foreign trade, and about $100 million to finance projects, without elaborating. Last month, Tunisians staged demonstrations against Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on his visit to Tunisia following the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Hundreds of Tunisians took to the streets in the capital, Tunis, calling for the Crown Prince to stay away from the country and denouncing Saudi Arabia's role in the war in Yemen. But the prince met Tunisian President Beji Caid Essebsi to improve cooperation on the economy and finance, investment promotion and security, and military cooperation to counter extremism and terrorism. Now, sports news. England international Eric Dier will miss the rest of the year after having surgery to remove his appendix, Tottenham Hotspur has confirmed. The 24-year-old was absent from Spurs' 1-0 win over Burnley on Saturday to remain just 5 points off the top of the Premier League in third. Spurs said in a statement that the England international midfielder was diagnosed with appendicitis after contacting the club's medical staff due to acute abdominal pain. They explained he received immediate treatment to assess it and then remove the appendix. Dier will miss Wednesday's League Cup quarter-final against North London rivals Arsenal, as well as Premier League meeting with Everton, Bournemouth, Wolves and Cardiff in the next fortnight. Now remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging on to our website www.absradiotv.com. Like us at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ABS Radio TV. And now the main points of the news once again. State government has commissioned the Obuku Caves and Waterfalls new facelift. Ahead of 2019 elections, Anglican Primate Oko has asked Nigerians to place the unity of the country topmost agenda. Federal government also will continue negotiations to end 6-week strike today. And from the foreign scene, Tunisia to receive over $800 million grant from Saudi Arabia amidst ongoing international condemnations on the role of the Middle East country in Yemen and journalist Jamal Khashoggi's death. And that's the news for this morning. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Nonye Mokoye. Good morning, Anambra continues.